Hello everybody, welcome back to the workshop. So in this video today, I've got a good friend here, Troy, all the way from Ohio, southern Ohio, as it were. And we're going to be taking and forging a fire brazier or a fire basket, if you will, together. And it's going to be a great time. And tell them a little bit about your channel, Troy.
Yeah, we are Bar Run Forge. We're out of southern Ohio. And we've been on YouTube for about a year and a half to 2 years. And we are two guys. My son Eli also forges with us, and we're just blessed to be a part of the community of blacksmithing and also the craft.
Yeah, so if you haven't checked out Bar Run Forge, you really should. A link to his channel will be down in the description down below, so be sure to check that out. They've got a lot of great videos over there and a great community growing, as well as a fun time on Thursdays nights, right?
Thursday night at 6:30.
Thursday night at 6:30, so you heard it here first. So, all right, well, without further ado, let's get right into the video. All righty then. So, shut it, Troy. Anyways, he said I said okie doke a lot, so I said I figure I'd spice it up with an all righty then. So anyways, our starting stock, we've got two pieces of 20-inch long, 1/4 by 1 inch bar stock, and we have a third piece here that will actually form the hoop for our basket. So this part here is going to be our main portion of the basket and our uprights. This portion here is going to get turned around into a hoop that we're going to attach everything up to rigid it up. We also have a piece of 1/2 inch round, 34 inches long, piece of bar stock here. That's going to be the main body of the piece. I'm going to have Troy start with this. He's going to forge out this end of it, and basically we're going for kind of an exaggerated fire poker because we want to have enough to stick out in order for us to stomp down and, you know, stick this thing down in the mud on that end of it. The other end will be dressed out with a tenon. We'll actually make a tenon that will then go through the rest of our basket. And all of this will be traditionally joined together using forge welds and rivets. So let's, without further ado, let's get this hot. So what's the next step, Troy?
Well, now that we've got it tapered, we're going to clean it up and then move down to bending it. We'll bend it in half here, some point that we'll pick, and then we'll fold it back on itself, forge weld it together, and then bend that foot spike out. Just put a mark right here. That way we know where we're going to bend it, and we'll bend it away from that mark here in just a moment. All right, we'll find that nick again, about right here, and we'll bend away from it. close that on up. All right, so as we bring it back over, we're going to close that eye up a little bit before I go back in for the forge weld. So close that down, and then before I go for the forge weld, we'll get it hot, and I'll throw some flux in on top of it so we can weld it up.
Not the flux! Don't!
Now that we think we've got a good forge weld going there, we'll go ahead and start tapering out the spike that'll go in the ground, and that'll be a 4-sided taper. All right, right now we're just finishing out the point or the spike on the end of it. After we're done with that, we'll turn it sideways for the step and put a little bit of a curl right there, just to give it some decorative look to it. I'm going to get it started by taking the scrolling tongs and just pulling that away. And then I can work it down with the hammer over the horn. And then straighten up over the square. And straighten it out. Yep. We wanted to add a decorative element somewhere in this round bar, so we've decided to use these butcher dies, and we'll pick a spot here, and what we're actually going to do is create a square cube in the middle of a round bar, and we'll use these butchers to isolate that material. All right, we are to the point on this second piece where we're just cleaning up. So looking for high spots, planishing. Give it a good brushing. And move on. Now we're using the square dies on the guillotine tool. We're just going to basically put some facets on each side, trying to stay oriented to the square. Check it and see how it looks. Yeah. Maybe do a little cleanup on it. That'll be it. All right, to establish the tenon at the end, we're going to take a little bit less than a cube of material using the butchering dies. Doing the same thing we did in the middle of the bar. And with the tenon complete, we'll brush it up, clean it up, and then we'll pass things along to Roy so he can make the basket.
Okie doke, ladies and gentlemen. Now that Troy got that portion of the job done, I'm going to actually work on the fire basket itself. So the fire basket simply is laid out just like this. We have a center punch mark that our hole is going to be punched through or drilled through. We're going to end up drilling this just to keep accuracy at play when we're working with, 3 different components all coming together. Traditionally, this would have probably been punched. It wouldn't have been a big deal. And then I've also got a couple of marks out on each end, and actually Troy laid these out earlier, and this is about how wide our basket's going to be. So the rest of this that you see here is all going to go up and have a finial turned out on it. That finial is completely up to you and your choice. They range from very elaborate down to very plain, just rounded off ends. Usually a fire basket had points of some kind and or fishtails type deal. So just keep that in mind when you're designing your own. So that's the first step here. We're going to go with a fishtail out on all 4 pieces here. I'm going to show you this piece here and then finish up with this before we move on to our next steps. So to work on this fishtail scroll, we're going to use the cross of our peen here on our hammer. We're going to start in the center and we're going to drag material at the same time as we rotate the piece. If you do that equally in both directions, you're going to get a nice little fishtail on it. Just like so. Now I'm going to use the flat of the hammer and flip it over. And dress out any of those hammer blows that we put into the piece. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and scroll this a little bit. We're going to scroll it away from our punch marks, all of our layout marks, because we want those to be inside the basket when we finish. We're just going to roll this little fishtail right on over. Just crisp that up. We're not trying to roll this too much. We just want to have it rolled over and rolled up slightly while we're here, before we move on to our next piece. Okay, now that we got both ends rolled on this strap, we're going to go to our first section of marks. I'm going to lock it in the vise. I've got a piece good and hot, and then I'm going to drive this over. You can do this at the edge of the anvil if you don't have a vise, but a vise is much, much easier and accurate. So we'll do this part right here. This is the whole point in having your layout marks center punched and close to the edge. It really makes this portion of the job super easy. Just hammer squarely against the vise, and then we can always straighten out this leg later at the anvil. The important part is to get that bottom corner nice and square. Oh, and a lot of times, if you have enough space, you can even come in the vise like so and use that to straighten things up as well. Just like that. So now I've got to move on to my next center, my next punch marks, bite it in the vise, and give it a bend. Okay, so now that we've got the baskets, basket pieces formed, now we need to connect them together with a band or a hoop. You can add multiple hoops and bands, and a lot of the historical examples definitely had those on their fire baskets, and a lot of times it was a lot smaller stock than this. But we're going to go ahead and bend this up into a hoop now, and I'll show you how to do that, and then we can start riveting everything together. Okay, starting from one end, we're going to use the horn. We're going to start bending this strap on around. We do not want to go too tight with this. At first, we just want to go ahead and just start getting that curvature in this. We'll have plenty of time to adjust this later after it's together. We just want to start rolling the material and getting it roughly where we want it to be and start getting curvature in this. Okay, now that we've got it into a really roughly shaped ring, now we're going to go ahead and fire weld this together, or forge weld it if you will. We're going to heat this area up to a nice welding heat, and we're going to drive it down and just get it stuck and welded. Okie doke, now that we've got this all forge welded together, now we're just going to take it out at a nice low heat, little cherry red temperature, and we're going to get this as round as possible. Might have to go over the horn a couple times. Just make sure we're hammering.
We're actually going to put these where we put the rivets, these little rosettes. And so I'm going to put some texture on them here with this little cross-peen hammer. All the parts are assembled. We've got the rosettes and the rivets through 3 of the 4. We've got the 4th one drilled and ready to assemble it. So essentially we're just going to put that through. We'll have to take this C-clamp off, and then we'll go through on the back side, rivet it in. Basket's fully assembled. We're really pleased with how that turned out. And we used a rivet to hold this all together to keep everything in line so that when we're ready to put the tenon in, that it'll fit right in there and we'll be able to rivet it over. What we're going to do right now is we're going to heat up the tenon, and we're going to take this monkey tool, drive it into the shoulder, make it nice and square and clean, so when we get ready to set it, we'll have a nice clean connection. when we get that through there, while it's hot, we also use the monkey tool to set it and drive it down onto that shoulder. After we've done that and the tenon is through, we'll take this tool and smash it down and use it to peen over the tenon.
Good. Loosen and take it back up. Oh, wrong way. Tighten it. Tight, tight, tight. That's good. Focus on that high
There you
side.
go.
Alrighty, everyone. So there you go. Your little fire brazier or fire basket. Just got that done. Overall, I think it came out well. What a fun collaboration project to do. What do you think, Troy?
Oh man, what an absolute privilege. We had such a great time doing this. Going back and forth and doing each piece and doing the assembly and then the idea process. Man, this was just fantastic. What a blessing.
Yeah, and we kind of just threw this together on the fly too. It's like he came up, just wanted to have fellowship together, and then it's like, well, let's do something. Well, what do you want to do? I don't know. What do you want to do?
What do you want to do?
I don't know. What do you want to do? So anyway, so it's kind of cool. We just threw this together, and roughly about 4 hours and 45 minutes in total.
Yeah. We just figured that out. Hey, wait a minute. We started at this time and we just finished at this time. Wow. Okay, great.
Yeah. So anyways, if you haven't checked out Troy and Eli over at Bar Run Forge, you definitely need to do so. And give them all your social media stuff again.
Yeah, everything that we have is Bar Run Forge. So even our website, BARRUNFORGE. That's on Instagram. That's on TikTok. It's on Rumble. It's on Instagram, YouTube. Everything's BARRUNFORGE.
Yep. And I hope I did a good enough job filling in for you, Eli. So Eli couldn't come up here, sadly. He had to work, and but we had a good time regardless, and I had to play cameraman.
Fantastic. Wonderful.
All right. So thank you all so much for watching this video. Stay right to the end because we'll have a clip of the fire basket in actual use there. And again, if you get a chance, do me a huge favor and go over and check these guys out and subscribe to them. It would mean a lot to me, especially if you like this channel. So that's it. God bless each and every last one of you, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching.